Welcome to Melo Unplugged. I'm Carmelo Ciotti, and today we're chatting with a local talent straight out of Hamilton. Joining me is singer-songwriter Isabella Chiarini, an artist carving her own lane with heartfelt lyrics and awesome sound. Let's get into the journey, the music, and everything in between.
Classic tunes and the greatest must-see movies. You're listening to Melo Unplugged with your host, Carmelo.
Hi, Isabella. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. Before we get too deep into your career, I want to start off by asking you, what made you pursue your singing career, and what experiences influenced your decision to follow this path?
Well, I started going to singing lessons when I was about 7 because I was just singing like all around the house and everything. So that's kind of where everything started for me when I went to singing lessons because I just fell in love with it. I loved going every week. I looked forward to going every week, and it just kind of became part of, I guess, me.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of starting from there from 7, and then when I started going to Nashville when I was 14, that's when the career kind of started, and that's where I started to think about pursuing it as an actual career because I saw all the different avenues that I could go down with music. I loved creating music, I loved learning about music, so it kind of snowballed into it when I was 14 when I was starting to like release my own stuff, but it all started when I was 7.
Okay, that's awesome. Speaking of Nashville, you've accomplished so much in such a short amount of time, including training in Nashville when you took classes in songwriting, stage presence, and artist development under PCG Universal. With experiences like that shaping your growth early on, what milestones have you accomplished in such a short amount of time that you're most proud of?
Honestly, just releasing music in general is such a big milestone for me because when I started singing, I was not very good. I yeah, it was a struggle for me definitely in the beginning. So just being able to release in general was a big step for me. Being able to perform in Nashville was a huge milestone as well. And then obviously, like more recently, it's been a lot of success through music videos, all that kind of stuff, getting
Okay.
recognition through that. Lots of blogs as well that have been picking up my music and all that as well. That's been really big for me. Um, yeah, I think that's kind of where the milestones, like the ones that I can think of right now. Performing at the Peach Festival as well is a big one.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've been performing there the past 4 years, I think.
Okay.
So there's been lots of stuff that kind of, as an independent artist, sometimes you just have to kind of roll with it, see what kind of comes your way. But I think those are definitely the biggest things for
Okay.
me.
I gotta come check you out at the Peach Festival then.
Yes, for sure.
For sure, for sure. Have you ever collaborated with any local or famous Canadian artists?
I not on released music, but definitely through different shows and everything. I've been a part of lots of different songwriters rounds and all that kind of stuff with groups of friends and people that I have become friends with.
Okay.
That I still keep in contact to this day. Who we get each other shows, all that kind of stuff. So it's very much a collaborative effort in both ways.
Okay, okay. If you had to choose, who would you love to collaborate with the most?
Oh, that's so hard. Really shooting for the stars. I've been really obsessed with Justin Bieber lately,
Okay.
but that's really shooting for the stars.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see about that one, but that'd be cool.
Can't go wrong with Bieber. Which big music artists inspire you in your own music?
It always kind of changes to what I'm listening to, but definitely in the recent years, it's been a lot of The Weeknd. I love The Weeknd.
Okay.
Dua Lipa, just kind of like how the music, like musically, like how it sounds.
Yeah.
But I would say like vocally, definitely Adele. I've been told before that I sound like a mix of Adele and Lady Gaga, like if they had a baby,
Oh, okay.
it would be me.
That's cool.
So definitely them as well. Just like the way that my voice sounds.
Okay. Which songs by Adele, The Weeknd, or Dua Lipa inspire you the most?
Um, I have like my Adele favorites. Like when I was in music lessons, like when I was in singing lessons weekly, I sang a lot of Adele. So it was definitely when we were young was one of them.
Okay.
All I Ask, all that kind of stuff. Definitely her a little bit of her older stuff
Oh yeah.
that I remember growing up singing and learning. Um, for The Weeknd, definitely his newer stuff for his music, I liked like Take My Breath, Moth to a Flame, all of those songs off of his newest album. Actually, not his newest album. I think it was Dawn FM, the one before.
Okay.
And then Dua Lipa, pretty much anything.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
Do you write your songs by yourself or do you collaborate with other writers?
I normally co-write. Actually, I always co-write because I like the idea of being able to bounce a lot of ideas off of somebody.
Okay.
Um, just because it's when you're songwriting, sometimes it's hard to get all your ideas down cohesively on paper. Like you have all these different ideas, you have all these different things that you want to put into the song, but then when you get there and you sit down with it, you're like, oh my God. So when you have the ideas to bounce off somebody else, it helps you kind of put it in order and it helps you create the best song that you can.
Okay. Awesome. I've seen your videos on social media. Where do you get inspiration when you film them?
It kind of just goes by the song. Whatever song I'm singing, whatever thing, something I'm promoting, anything like that, I kind of just go based off of how I think it should be portrayed. Like my newest single, the video for Gotta Be, it was more like I wanted it to be more chill. I wanted
Okay.
it to look like I was like almost in like a piano bar singing with like a pianist, like nice and simple. And it was in black and white. I had like smoke and everything, like to kind of
Okay.
set the vibe. But it kind of just goes off of whatever I'm singing in that video.
Okay. I love those kind of like old vintage vibes and videos and whatnot.
Yeah.
The latest video I saw was you on a boat with beautiful scenery. Where did you film that, and what's the prep time to get all that organized?
So that was actually a fun one. That was for my song "Let It All Go" that came out in August.
Okay.
And I actually kind of planned that video around a vacation that I was going on. I was
Okay.
going to Italy, so it was filmed. It was filmed in
Ooh.
Italy. I was yeah. So because I go there a lot to visit my family,
Okay.
so I was already kind of making this song, and it was already in the works. And I was like, you know what? The song is about like going like just having a good time basically.
Yeah,
So I wanted to show that in the video. So I was like, it'd
of
be really
course.
cool if I can get this to work in Italy. So I like we rented the boat and everything. I had like my cousins be in it, like the part of them where they're like part of the video where they're dancing. Those are like my cousins. So I had everybody involved in it, and it was super fun.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I understand that you were accepted into Berkeley online. What was the process like for that?
So it was definitely different than my process for Mohawk because I went to Mohawk for about a year and a half
Oh, okay.
for the applied music study. So it was a lot of performance stuff. It was a lot of like in person, that kind of idea. But for Berkeley, I went in for business for music business. So it was a little bit of a different process. Like I had to write an essay, like I had to get references. It was like more. I felt it was more of like a traditional admissions experience rather than the Mohawk one because the Mohawk one was an audition. Like I had to
Okay.
it was an audition video, so I had to like sing all that kind of stuff. This one was more of like I guess English based. Like I had to write an essay, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. How long did that all take? Like just the whole process of that?
Honestly, it was pretty quick because I was like, because I was trying to, I was honestly, I was like, I really want to learn about the business part of music, and I was like, I'm already in Mohawk, but if I want to change, like it should be now because
Okay.
I'm kind of halfway through the program. So I was like, you know what, if I'm gonna do it now would be the time before I get into the final stages. But the good thing about Berkeley is that you can online is that you can start at any time. Like I started my semesters in January, so you can pretty much sign up and start at any time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
How do you do your schooling in Hamilton when the school is located in Boston? It's all online, I assume?
It's all online. So it's a lot of you do it on your own time. Like
Okay.
there's week like each class has like a weekly kind of meetup that they do every week with the teachers about an hour long. But they're optional. So you can basically like whenever something's due, like you can basically do it whenever you have time. The program that I'm in, well, most of the online programs are designed for people who like work full time or like have other things that they can't be in Boston for. So
Okay.
it's a lot of like everything's kind of posted and then you do it when you can. As long as it's in by the due date, then you're good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Outside of the studio, what hobbies do you have?
I do I'm very boring, but um I do go to the gym. I do like hang
Okay.
out with my friends, all that kind of stuff. I
Okay.
yeah, but we're me and my friend group especially like we just like we're those types of people that were like, yeah, we're gonna go out, we're gonna go out. The second we get to somebody's house, we're like, yeah. maybe not.
Let's
So
just chill here, watch a movie, have
exactly,
a couple drinks, so why not?
exactly.
When you're in your downtime, do you play any instruments?
Yes, I play the piano. I was in
Okay.
lessons as well for that. I started that a few years after singing. So I'm not like a amazing like the best piano player ever, but I can play for myself while I'm singing. Like I can get by with that, but I'm not like classical pianist. Like I'm
Yeah.
not that kind of player,
Okay.
but yeah.
When did you start playing that?
I think I was about 9. So it was a couple
Okay.
years after I started singing.
That's awesome. How did it feel when you found out that your single Gotta Be was chosen in Buzz Music's Independent Artists of 2025?
It was pretty crazy because that article had some pretty big names on it.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was kind of a shock. Like I worked with them previously, but those articles are like the biggest articles of the year. Like you don't like those are not the ones that you kind of email them for. They have to ask you to be on those
Hmm.
on those blogs. So it was definitely an honor for me to be a part of it, and I was not expecting it at all.
Can you elaborate which big artists were on there?
Yeah, so I believe it was Bob Marley's grandson that was on that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on that list. So that one was a pretty big one. I was very shocked.
That's awesome. Do you have any music gigs scheduled in Hamilton this year?
Yes, I have a couple. So I'm performing at it's more of a private event, but I'm performing on April 5th at so I do intern for a company called the Singers Company from Toronto. So I'm
Okay.
performing at a kind of event that they're having on the 5th, and then on the 19th of April, I'm playing at the Block in Burlington. It's a songwriters round.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. Can you elaborate on the singers company? What was that?
Yeah, so I do interning for it's an artist development company in Toronto. It's called the
Okay.
Singers Company. I intern for them. I do a lot of their like I guess admin work because again I'm in school for business, so I need to be able to do the behind the scenes work. So I help them a lot with scheduling events, reaching out to artists, organization, all that kind of stuff. But they're having like a little showcase for all their artists because I also do my promotion through them when I release songs. So they're having like a little performance for all their artists on the 5th.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on any current projects are you working on?
Yeah, I actually was just in a writing session yesterday. I am starting a new song
Ooh,
that I'm hoping to release for the summer. So that's in the works right now. Like whole thing, new song, new music video. So I'm really excited about that.
that'll be awesome for sure. Do
Yeah.
you plan on releasing a full studio album?
At some point, yes. I find that when you're an independent artist, singles are kind of the way to go
Okay.
because if people can find you through the one song, then they'll go through all your other stuff. But sometimes when you're not as well known, people don't always want to like listen to the whole album.
How different is it releasing a song compared to a full album?
Definitely the workload is different. There's definitely a lot more time in between. Like I have an EP that I released a couple years ago, and it was 4 songs.
Okay.
Um, and it's definitely a lot more like you have to plan like the image more, all that kind of stuff because it has to work for all of the songs.
Hmm.
You have to make sure that they're in like a nice cohesive order. Again, there's longer in between time because obviously it's more songs. And the way that you have to market it is different because you have to kind of, especially when you're an independent artist, you have to make sure that people know it's an EP and not just one single because obviously the EP is titled one track. So
Yeah.
sometimes people think it's just still one track. So you have to be careful about the marketing as well.
Okay. How long is it like releasing? How big is it when you release an EP?
It definitely can be bigger because obviously it's more work, like more
Okay.
songs. Um, but I find that like when I'm releasing a song versus when I release my EP, the marketing was similar for sure. Just because you still want to get on the blog, you still want to get on they still want to perform all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just the way that I find the way that you post is a little bit different because again, you have to make sure that everybody knows that it's an EP, not just a single.
Okay. Okay. What has been the biggest challenge in your journey so far?
The biggest challenge I would say is just kind of I'm always trying to reinvent every time that I'm releasing. I always make sure that I'm kind of changing up a little bit from what I did before. I don't want to keep releasing the same things over and over. So I find that coming up with kind of new images, new ideas, new all that kind of stuff sometimes is hard for me because I get stuck sometimes on what I released last. I was like, oh, that worked really well, but I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Hmm.
So always trying to improve myself is something that I work on a lot.
Okay. And how did you overcome your biggest challenge?
I find just by doing it, the more that you release, the more that you write, the more that, all that kind of stuff, the better you get at it, the more comfortable you get with it. So I always say, like, my thing with releasing is I always want to leave a little bit of time in between, but I always try to release like 2 to 3 songs a year. That way I'm constantly writing, like, I'm in the studio, I'm practicing releasing, I'm looking for different blogs, different all this kind of stuff so that you are always kind of getting your name out there. And then obviously you're practicing while you're doing that. So you get better at it every time.
Okay. That's awesome. How would you describe your sound in 3 words?
Um, Definitely pop. It's totally pop music.
Okay.
I would say unique because again, I'm always reinventing. Um, and then maybe I like the word eclectic. I always say that word because it's kind of like it's all pop, but it's different versions of pop. Like they don't all sound the same.
Okay. Did that come naturally to you or did it take time?
I think it came out kind of naturally, like just from the like if someone would go back and listen to my first songs versus now, my first like 5 songs are like totally different from each other. Like
Oh,
they don't
wow.
like they're very different. So it just kind of happened naturally. Now that I'm a little bit more like I have a little bit more experience with it, they're not as different. Like I think in the beginning I went a little bit too much with it. Like they sound very different now. They're all still different, but they all still kind of work together. Um, and it still sounds like one kind of artist. So.
Okay, okay. What usually comes first for you? Lyrics, melody, or beat?
I think it's kind of a toss up between lyrics, and because I always write on the piano,
Okay.
so I always start with the piano and then I send the references from there. So sometimes it's like the chords on the piano. A lot of times it's lyrics as well, and sometimes it's also song titles. Like sometimes I'll go in with song title ideas and then you write from there. Um, but yeah, it's mostly lyrics or chords on the piano.
Okay. And how long does it take for you to write a song? And how long does it take till it's fully produced and ready to be released?
Everyone's a little bit different. I think it takes to write a song, I can do it in a couple hours. Like
Okay.
yesterday, I had a writing session for like about an hour, and we wrote like the whole first part of it. Like we
Awesome.
wrote about half the song. So it could just kind of depend. Sometimes songs take longer, sometimes they don't take any time at all. But the actual going into the studio and doing it, couple hour session, and then however long it takes to produce from there.
Okay. What do you hope listeners feel when they hear your music?
Um, Whenever somebody listens to my music, my want is always for them to connect with it in some way. Like when I write, I try not to be too specific with things. I try to make it so that everybody can relate to it in some way because if you can relate to a song, you're gonna want to listen to it again. You're gonna want to learn the words because you feel something when you listen to it, and that's my want for everybody. When they listen to my music, I want them to feel something, connect with it in their own way.
Of course, everybody wants to feel with their music as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. If someone just discovered you through social media and fell in love with your music, what do you hope they notice first?
Um, I hope they notice that that it's kind of like a safe space for everybody. I like all types of people can listen. There's no like you have to be this type of person to listen to my music. You have to like this to listen to my music. That's why I like reinventing so much
Hmm.
because it opens up for a lot of new listeners. It opens up for a lot of new people to want to listen to my music. So I hope people notice that and they feel like they can stay
Hmm.
once they start listening.
Absolutely, yeah. How do you take care of your voice before a recording session and before performing live?
Um, Vocal technique's a big thing. Like I said, I've been in lessons since I was 7,
Yeah.
so it's always an ongoing thing, making sure that you're singing with proper techniques so your voice doesn't get tired or anything. I am like a kind of a weird singer. I don't. A lot of singers drink tea. I
Hmm.
don't like tea, so
Me neither.
yeah, I'm not really into it. So whenever whenever I go out perform or I'm singing somewhere, whatever, I always get hot water. Like it's literally like it's basically tea just without the tea bag, and
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so like sometimes I'll literally go to Tim Hortons and order that, and they look at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
But but
I feel it. I feel
yeah,
it.
but that's what I do a lot. I find that that really helps. Like if I'm going to record, I'll always have hot water.
Yeah, yeah. When was the first time you got paid for your music, and how did you feel?
Through Spotify, it was actually a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And it was pretty cool. Like it's not. I think everybody kind of talks about this how Spotify doesn't really pay their artists very well.
Yeah.
But so it wasn't a lot, but it was kind of cool because it kind of shows that people are listening. And
Yeah.
so like as little or as much as it may be, it was really cool. Um, but through live performance, it's obviously very often because that's what it's like a job.
Yeah.
And that was also pretty cool because again, you're like it's like you're working, but you also love what you do. So it was
Hmm.
pretty cool in that way too.
Awesome. What does financial success look like for you?
In any way that I can make a living from music is like great in my books. Like I'm also a teacher. I teach music as well.
Okay.
So
That's
that's
awesome.
where a lot of my thanks. That's where a lot of my kind of music income comes from, and then obviously my shows and my music that I release. But in any way that I can make a living with music is good with
Yeah.
me, honestly.
Do you want to fully focus on teaching or be a worldwide pop star?
Um, I think that I love teaching, but it's not. I don't think it's my end goal.
Okay.
Definitely, I always will still release music, but again, I'm in school for business, so I love the other side of it. I love working with artists, like I love all of that kind of stuff. So I think in the future, like if I can kind of marry the two, like being able to release my own stuff while working behind the scenes, I think that would be kind of where I want to lead to.
Okay. Do you reinvest most of your earnings back into your career?
For sure. I think it's money well spent because I love what I do.
Absolutely.
Because I love what I do, but a lot of it does go back into my own music, which hopefully one day it won't be like that. But I think a lot of independent artists can kind of relate to this, like the small amount, especially from Spotify and stuff that you make, just ends up going right back into the same thing over and over again. But you love it, so you continue to do it.
Absolutely. What's been your most profitable move so far?
Um, I would say definitely Nashville. It
Okay.
was because it led me to be able to make more money in the future because it was a lot of artist development when I was in Nashville. So whenever I was there, I would practice and learn, and I don't think without Nashville I would be able to be where I am today, like earning anything from from music or anything like that. So without them, I don't think that I would have been able to continue the way that I did.
Okay. When did that happen and how did you feel?
Well, Nashville happened when I was about 14, and I did it for about 3 years. So I haven't been like working in Nashville for a couple years. But when I got it, I was again very surprised. I think every time I get something, I'm very surprised that it happens to me because I still don't think that things like that happen. But
It don't feel real. It never feels
yeah,
real.
it's always like that was that imposter syndrome or something. Like you sit there and you're like really, but it was really I was a shock because again when I started I was not a very good singer. Like I definitely had to work for it.
Yeah.
So that was only a couple years in. So I was like when I got it I was like okay. I didn't really know what it was. I kind of just I auditioned because my singing teacher told me to. She was like I think you might be able to get this. I was like okay, well, let's try it. Um, but it ended up working out and ended up being one of the best things I ever did.
Awesome. Do you manage yourself or do you have a team helping you with business decisions?
It's definitely a lot of me.
Okay.
Again, independent artists, you do a lot of it on your own. I definitely have people who help me though. Like I definitely like again, I songwrite, I co-write a lot. I My dad helps me a lot with like doing my hair and all that kind of stuff, picking
Okay.
out the outfits. Um, yeah, I have a lot of people. Like I have Nick Rhodes. He plays a lot for me when I go out and play, like cause like with guitar when I go out to do performances. Like I have definitely people that I reach for,
Okay.
but ultimately all decisions kind of land on me.
Okay. If you had to build a team, how would you go about doing that?
I would definitely get people that I trust, people that I know that I work well with.
Hmm.
Um, and I would pick people who I think could help me improve every time and not just like, yes, people telling me that I'm always doing good because, sometimes you have your days. So, you always
Yeah.
want to make sure you're improving in that way.
Absolutely. What mistake cost you money early on?
Lots. I I think when you start out, especially on like the Instagram
Okay.
promotions, sometimes you don't always like you look at these Instagram pages and they're getting like really good engagement and all that kind of stuff. So you're like, yeah, I want to be a part of it. And then you pay for these people to promote your music, and then you're like, did that really help me, or did I just, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of learning.
Okay. What was the first thing that you spent money on as an artist?
Definitely studio time for
Okay.
sure. Like, yeah, definitely being in the studio co-writing, like those kind of sessions were for sure one of the biggest things that I spent money on and still do.
Okay. And how do you budget for studio time, visuals, and promotion?
I kind of, as I'm writing, I'm starting to save from there
Okay.
because I know what's coming. And then I always have like a set amount that I will allow myself to kind of hit until I'm like, okay, now I gotta pull back a little bit. But now that I've done it a few times, like I kind of know who I'm gonna ask and who I'm gonna want to promote it. I know how much normally those things cost, so I can budget from there as well.
What is your biggest expense for you as a new artist?
Either studio time and like production or promoting. It either one kind of flip flops for each song, but depending on who's promoting, depending on who's producing, it kind of flip flops from those.
Do you record your songs in Hamilton or outside the city?
Normally it's outside. I do again. I've done some in Nashville. I've done some in Toronto. I've done most of them in Toronto, and then
Okay.
some in Niagara Falls as well.
Well, where in Toronto do you record?
I perform. I record with mostly with my producer's name is Tal. He has a home studio, so it's out of his house. But it's like a fully developed one. It's just in his house, and he's like my favorite producer that I've worked with. Like he's like every time I
Okay.
have a new song, pretty much I'm like that's one area that I don't stray. I know I said I like to like kind of meet new people, whatever, but that's
Yeah.
one area that I haven't strayed because I just like what he does.
Yeah. That's awesome. At what point would you consider music your full-time job?
I think I do now. Like just because I have so many different avenues that I'm going down with music right now. Like I'm teaching, I'm releasing, I'm an intern, like that kind of thing. So I think even though it's multiple different things and multiple different streams, I think that still qualifies as full time.
Okay. Do you teach music to kids full time?
I teach music pretty much every night. It's kind of again, it's kind of weird because the music schools it's after school hours, so you don't
Okay.
really start till like 3 o'clock, but you end at like 9, 10 o'clock. So it's pretty much full time. It's just kind of
Okay.
shifted
Yeah.
hours.
Awesome. What age group do you teach? And do you get surprised at what the kids do?
I teach pretty much from 4 and up.
Okay.
I have really little ones, and I have adults as well, teenagers, stuff like that. And sometimes it is kind of surprising, like when you walk in, like when you get a new student and they walk in, and you're like, and you listen to them play the piano or you listen to them sing, and you're like, wow. You're like, okay, like I have something I can work with here, and it's like it's kind of shocking, and they're also hilarious. Like kids, like they just say whatever.
Of course,
So
yeah.
it's great.
Okay. A little bit of a sensitive topic here. After sadly losing your mother at such a young age and seeing your father step up to the occasion, how have those early experiences shaped the way you define your strength for yourself today?
It was really hard, obviously, in the beginning,
Okay.
but I think that once you can channel that kind of sadness into something that you love, it makes it not easier, but you find a way to cope with it. Like I find like a lot of why I do music is because it's a lot of motivation that you have to have for yourself because it's not easy to be in the music business. There's thousands of other artists and everything, but
Hmm.
seeing how my dad kind of pushed through everything in that hard time showed me that I can do the same, and that's
Okay.
why I continue to do what I do because it was always an
Yeah.
example for me when I was growing up.
I understand your dad was your biggest influence. Tell me more how he inspires your creativity.
I think just by being supportive, because he's a hairdresser, he understands that like the difference between having like a normal 9 to 5 and having building clientele, building a business works.
Yeah.
So my music is kind of like a business. So it was always just kind of instilled in me when I grew up. I always saw it. So it kind of influenced me to do the same thing and continue to do the same thing as well.
Looking at different social platforms, I see a lot of musicians trying to get their name out there and showcase their music. As someone like you who's been doing this for a while, what advice would you give to someone afraid to start?
I would say honestly, the hardest thing is just starting. The first song is always the hardest because you're like, I don't know, like I'm just trying this out for the first time. Maybe I don't like the I like there's 100 different things that go on in somebody's brain when they're releasing.
Exactly.
Um, but the first one's always the hardest. Once you can get that out, and then you can kind of refine yourself from there. And then the more you do it, the easier that it gets. And the more that you do it, the more you'll find yourself, the more that you'll understand yourself, and that's when you get better and you start to grow.
Isabella, thank you so much for talking with me today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks so much for having me.
Check out Isabella at Isabella Chiarini on all socials, and you can check me out at Carmelo Ciotti on air, Ciotti. Thank you so much for listening.